I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello folks, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. If it ends up shutting off on you on YouTube, just reset the room. We know YouTube messes with us a lot. So once again, if it stops playing for you, just refresh your page and it should come right back up. We'll get started in just a moment.
What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. She's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Ripon Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the Dark Wolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right, we're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, we're tearing through the atmosphere, and we're tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the Dark Wolf's Den radio show for Thursday, May the 5th, 2022. Haha! Happy Cinco de Mayo! So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, tonight we are diving down the rabbit hole that is the state of mystery of West Virginia. That's right, and we're going to get to that all here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and see who all we have out here on our chat rooms, both on the Ripon Rabbit Hole as well as the Dark Wolf's Den YouTube channel. How we doing tonight, folks? Like Raider Champion out here, good to see you, Raider, over in the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Yeah, drop the Wonderland link. For those that don't know, that music that you hear at the beginning of every show is called Wonderland. It is by Chick Mandela Effect with Michael Musco on backup. Maggie's Ace says, Dark Wolf, glad to see you. Maggie's always a pleasure. It's like a quantum particle. That's right. That's right. Over in the Dark Wolf's Den Show channel, glad to see everybody here tonight. Deranged Lunatic, aka DL, first in the chat room, says, evening, everyone. Evening, DL, or Deranged Lunatic. Glad to see you, my friend. Sandy Beast, I was thinking of the John Denver song, West Virginia Mountain Mama, Take Me Home, Country Road. I think that's just actually called Country Road. Is some of us remember Country Roads, or is that vice versa? I don't remember on that one. I think it was Country Road in the old timeline. I think it's Roads now. Anyway, Sandy B, glad to see you here. She also says, can't wait to see what serpents are in West Virginia. I definitely am looking forward to that myself. Sandy B also jumping in over in the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Oiler Greg says, hi, everyone. Hi, Oiler. Always a pleasure, my friend. Verpine, I do hope I said that right. Hello, everyone, he says, or they say. Hello, Verpine. Skook's Strange World, glad to see you here. Always a pleasure. It's been quite a while. I was just reading the chat between you and Sandy B. You guys cracking me up. Sandy says, can you give me your channel name? Skook's Strange World. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. How's everybody doing tonight? I really, really am glad to see all of you guys here. It's been a crazy weekend so far, right, guys? I hope you enjoyed last night's episode. Tonight's episode's kind of special for me. My best friend was from West Virginia. May she rest in peace. Chrissy Bird. I can say her name now. She's actually gone from this earth, but she was from West Virginia, and I spent some time there myself. It's a beautiful, beautiful state. But we've got a great weekend planned for you guys. We've got all kind of fun shows coming up, including this one. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a lot of strange for you guys tonight. We've got the Ripon Rabbit Hole. Also, do make sure, if you don't know already, check out the riponrabbithole.com, RIPON, RABBITHOLE.com. Well, we are always streaming live when we are streaming live, right? Skook Strange World says, life's been special. You could say that. You could definitely say that. And whether you are hanging out in our YouTube chat rooms or listening around the world on Ripon Common Sense Radio Network, the RiponRabbitHole.com, or of course on our replay on BitChute or Rumble, we're glad to have every last one of you guys along for the ride. And before we do ride into the state of West by God, Virginia, as I was reminded by my GM of my other job earlier, shout out to you, Miss Tammy, if you happen to be listening. West by God, Virginia is where we're going to go, but first we have two more fun little segments to do, the first of which we call Today in History. On this day in 1893, the Panic of 1893, a major economic depression of the time, causes a large crash on the New York Stock Exchange. The economy would not recover until 1897, and that is today's segment of Today in History.
Say what?
Our quote of the day today, folks, comes from author Stephen Wright. He says, and I quote, "I'm addicted to placebos," end quote. That is today's segment of
Say what?
Oh, I'm addicted to placebos. One thing we are addicted to here on the Dark Wolf's Den show is the paranormal. And the cryptids, of course, is what we like to start off each episode with. And we know West Virginia has the Mothman, of course. That goes without saying, which means we probably won't cover a whole lot of the Mothman tonight, as that's something you hear on every radio show ever. We, of course, look for things that are a little more unique in this state, right? And here to help us out tonight, once again, is our good buddy Ben Miller. Ben, besides your favorite, the Mothman, do we have any, like, wolf or dog creatures to start us off with tonight?
Oddly enough, West Virginia doesn't have a lot of dogman sightings, but to make up for this, it does have some strange dog-like creatures. The first one would be the beings simply known as white things.
Verpine says West Virginia has an inordinately large amount of cryptids for its size. That is so very true, Verpine.
These are frequently linked to another famous cryptid known as the sheep squatch, but from all details, they are more dog-like and normally walk around on all fours. They are described as being extremely large, having the combined features of a dog and a lion, having red eyes, long claws, and their white fur is shaggy.
And if anyone is interested in seeing an artist rendition of this creature, it's pretty darn scary if you ask me. Go on over and check out the Down the Rabbit Hole section on the RiponRabbitHole.com, as we have a picture posted over there just for you. But Ben, tell us some more about the traits of the white thing.
They can move extremely fast and have an unmistakable high-pitched howl that is said to resemble a screaming sound. Another common name for them is devil dogs, and from all accounts, they have both a spectral form as well as a flesh and blood one.
Now, devil dogs is something that we have covered on this show in a couple of different states, I do believe, but when these creatures attack, they have a different attack than most types of cryptids, right, Ben? These are a little more strange than your average cryptid attack, right?
In some stories, unlucky individuals have been attacked by these beings, and even though they can feel the teeth digging into their flesh, when the attack is over, they can't find any damage on their body. Yet, these creatures are known to mutilate animals that they deem prey, and will commonly kill them by ripping out the throats. In an odd twist, it is said that these bodies are found drained of all blood, much like a chupacabra attack.
When you mentioned they killed by the throat, that is the first thing that I thought too, Ben, as my history with the chupacabra lines up quite well with this type of killing.
Frequently, these creatures are seen running through the woods or hanging out in cemeteries. Sightings have occurred all over the state, but they were most frequent in Boone, Mingo, Mason, Putnam, and Kanawha counties. Outside of Delbarton, two people were riding their ATVs along the railroad when suddenly a large, dog-like creature that was white ran across the road on all fours, stood up on his back legs, bounded over a 4.5-foot tall pile of railroad ties, and then jumped an additional 10 feet into the wood.
So if you are unlucky enough to encounter this creature, running is not going to be a viable option, as this thing seems to have enough power to keep up with no problem.
In another story, a group of hunters were walking along the trail when suddenly a white, hairy giant dog pounced on top of one of the men. It hit with so much force that the two left the path and rolled down a hill. This man screamed out for help as he felt the creature was tearing into him. The other hunters saw the attack and ran down to help their friend. When they arrived, they found their friend alone, but screaming for help since the creature had torn out his stomach. The odd thing was that their friend was unharmed, but they had all seen him get attacked by a white dog creature.
As I listen to this case file, Ben, I can't help but think that perhaps this is more of a multi-dimensional creature, a creature that exists in multiple timelines or can change a timeline opposed to another. So he got his stomach ripped out, and perhaps in one timeline that occurred. However, he was held safely in this one where it did not occur. So the idea is perhaps one version of him actually was killed by a physical version of this creature. It's very, very strange thought, but when you think about the Mandela effect and the idea of the multi-world, multiverse shifting idea, perhaps it shifts. These creatures are actually able to come out and hunt a multi-dimensional rift, if you will, even if momentarily.
In 1929, a coal miner by the name of Frank Cazole was walking home through the woods of Fairmont when he spotted an extremely large white dog standing on the path before him. The moment the two made eye contact, the creature attacked, and Frank could feel his flesh being torn. He tried to fight back, but he claimed his punches went through the beast as if he were fighting a ghost. Even though he found no damage from the attack, he knew the beast was real since it had to wait to hold him down. Eventually, he was able to break free and find refuge in the woods. These were a few stories, but there are a lot of them out there, all describing the same thing. This is truly an odd and intriguing cryptid. I have to wonder why it can hurt animals, but not people. Also, I wonder why it attacks humans if it knows it can't hurt them. Maybe it doesn't know that.
Or perhaps the point of the attack is not to eat at all. Perhaps it only is able to make physical harm on the creature when its intent is to have a meal opposed to just scaring someone, right? So if a dog is just trying to scare you, they may not bite you. They may wrap their mouth around you and, just barely break down on your skin, but not break the skin, if that makes any sense. Like your home pet. He is playful, right? Like your dog. But if he gets your hand in his mouth, most likely he's not going to chomp down real hard. His intent isn't to kill or harm. Perhaps it all has to do with the intent of the creature at the time. Two different ways of hunting, if you will. A human comes across it, it's only meaning to scare the human, instinctually not kill it, right?
In the 1940s, there were reports from Webster and Randolph County of another odd dog creature known simply as the Blue Devil. Descriptions are scant, but it was said to be a dog-like creature.
And for those that are interested, if you would like to hop on over to the riponrabbithole.com, we have down the rabbit hole, we have posted a picture of the white thing, at least an artist rendition thereof.
That was larger than a pony, and its fur was a blue color. It is said to make a ghostly howl as it stalks around in the nighttime. During this time period, it was blamed for killing many livestock. The first sighting was on December of 1939 by a man named John Clevenger. He claimed that he witnessed the beast attacking and killing his prized hunting dog.
But that would not be the only report of this creature.
A farmer named Ernest Koger stated that for many nights his livestock seemed to be spooked by something in the woods. This was then followed by him noticing many of his sheep and a cow ending up dead.
So whatever it is definitely has a taste for meat.
In the town of Diana, a woman reported hearing inhuman screaming sounds in the woods around her property. These reports caused people to take up arms and attempt to hunt down the beast. On one trip, it was cut short when the hunter's dogs got to a certain part of the trail and refused to move further ahead.
As is common in a lot of case files, when dogs come near these cryptid creatures, they absolutely refuse to move any further, as once again we have the same thing here. They sensed something that the humans did not.
A man named Elmer Corley claimed to have killed the creature, and when it was examined, they said it wasn't a coyote, but it looked like one.
Skooks brings up, and I think this is pretty much what I was trying to say a moment ago, I wonder if it's interdimensional. Appears here, has a bite, then leaves. I have to fully agree with that. Hey, Carol's Cookies, glad to see you. Yeah, I fully agree. That's kind of what I was trying to say, is it seems like that's what it does, is interdimensionally jump and has only a meal or two and then jumps back. But I'm with Ben. It is odd that it doesn't hurt humans, but again, I think it could be trying to scare them. Hey, Yatakai, I'm going to go with Yat and Prairie Fire. Glad to see you guys over in the RiponRabbitHole.com or YouTube. You know what I mean.
Sightings died down for a while, but eventually activity would return. Interestingly, a similar event happened in the same area in 1897, where it played out much the same as this story. The creature was supposedly killed and sightings ceased. It certainly seems like this location may have a hidden population of some type of strange dog-like creature roaming about.
I refute that it's coyotes, based on the evidence in the case file so far, and coyotes laugh and cackle in the woods. They do not scream, at least not that I've ever heard. Also, man, Daddy Ma, good to see you, bud. I did mention you a second ago. I don't want to overlook you, my friend.
Let's move from dogs and look at a really strange bird. This would be the snaggletooth rock. It is said to make its home primarily in Canada, but it migrates to the snaggletooth knob of Owl Mountain in the wintertime. It can grow as large as 6 feet tall and has a wingspan of over 18 feet.
That is one gigantic bird. Think about it. I'm only 5'9" myself, and that would tower over me. And with a wingspan like that, it probably has claws to match that could easily carry me away without even thinking twice.
It is covered in wide, dark and light colored brown feathers, and will actively hunt all types of prey, including humans. Stories of this bird have been around since 1895. A man named Rube Neisser and his son were out hunting near Sugar Creek. The pair reached a clearing in the forest where they saw a doe and her fawn walking. Suddenly, they heard an ear-piercing screeching sound and saw a massive raptor drop down from the sky and attack the deer. Within a second, the bird grabbed the fawn in its talons and flew off towards Owl Mountain. A man named Peter Swadley was hunting on Pine Ridge with his dog. While focusing on some bear tracks they had found, he heard a screeching noise and was immediately knocked to the ground by a large bird. The man fought back as hard as he could, all the while the bird was tearing at his flesh with its talons. At one point, his dog attacked the bird by jumping on its back. Sadly, this only provoked it into turning its attention to the dog, to which it flew off with the animal in its talons,
making the ultimate sacrifice to save its owner's life.
Peter managed to find another hunter who was able to help him. With his encounter, he claimed that the bird was so powerful that in the attack he felt the creature managed to lift him in the air at least 2 times.
A bird that can even lift me into the air 1 time is scary enough for me. Thank goodness he survived, but this creature is definitely a cryptid in the aspect that, as we know of scientifically, birds do not grow to that size. And Ben, before we do run out of time for this episode, what other strange creatures exist in the borders of West by God, Virginia? And I would like to shout out real quick before we go on, Seeker of Truth, glad to see you.
It is known simply and humorously as the Vegetable Man. While the name is funny, the encounter itself is rather terrifying, if it is true. On an evening in July in 1968, a man named Jennings Frederick was hunting near Fairmont. As he was starting to walk home, he heard a sound that he claimed was like a high-pitched jabbering. This sound drew his eyes to a strange creature standing before him. It was described as being green in color, having a thin frame that resembled the stalk of a plant. Its arms were extremely long, but no bigger round than that of a quarter, and it had a semi-human type facial features.
So you're telling me this creature is literally a plant-human hybrid?
The head had long ears, its eyes were slanted and completely yellow in color without an iris. Another feature.
Tell me that's not an incredibly strange sounding creature, right? A plant-human hybrid. Candied Cupcakes, glad to see you. Ain't seen you in a long time.
Feature that was noticed was that it had 3 fingers on each hand that were 7 inches long, and the tips ended in what appeared to be a suction cup shape. Out of these cups were a sharp point that appeared to be briars. Suddenly the creature spoke, stating that he shouldn't be afraid, that he comes in peace, and he only required medical help.
Ben, this is sounding more and more like an alien to me than a cryptid, bud.
Before being able to respond, or even agreeing to help the creature, it latched onto Jennings' arm and sunk the briars into his skin. This creature then began to drain the blood from the man, and did so for around 2 minutes. Finally, the vegetable man let go of Mr. Frederick's arm and quickly ran up an embankment, where he vanished from sight.
How rude. You don't just steal somebody's blood and not at least say thank you, right?
Terrified from what had just happened, Jennings ran away as fast as he could. In the aftermath, he knew how strange his encounter was, so fearing ridicule, he refused to tell anyone about it, including his own family. In fact, when questioned about the marks on his arm, he claimed it was from a briar patch. It would take him almost 10 years to finally be comfortable enough to talk about what had happened.
Yeah, I'm still not really convinced this is a cryptid opposed to an alien creature of some type. That is strange. You got anything else for us tonight, Ben, in West Virginia?
The final story is known as the Beast of Beckley. In the city of Beckley, a family who wished to remain anonymous claims that an odd creature resides in the woods around their home. In 2002, the young son of the family was playing in...
You guys are cracking me up over here. Carol's Cookie said, yeah, Tomato Man, you'll never look at tomato juice the same way now. You're right. I will definitely never... I always thought it looked a lot like blood anyway. Not a vegetarian vegetable, says Cooks. I mean, he wasn't lying. He did get in a mess with the briar patch, albeit a living one, right?
in the backyard when he returned crying profusely. When he finally was able to talk, he claimed that he saw a very tall, black creature with yellow eyes and a mouthful of sharp teeth coming at him from the woods. The family didn't think much of it and assumed he must have seen a bear.
However, as it turns out, that may not have been the case at all.
A few years later, the teenage daughter named Raven and her friend remembered the story and decided it would be fun to walk into the woods and see if they could find this being. As they neared the tree line, the daughter started to get a weird feeling and decided not to go any farther, but the friend continued on. After a few moments, Raven suddenly noticed a massive black form crouched in some nearby bushes. She claimed that the creature had 4 yellow eyes, and they were intently staring at her.
Now we have had 2 witnesses to this same creature, albeit a few years apart.
She screamed for her friend, who quickly returned to the spot where she was. As luck would have it, the friend would slip in some mud and land almost right in front of the creature.
That sounds like my kind of luck, right? Slip in mud and land right at the feet of the creature you're trying to get away from?
Raven grabbed a tree branch and pointed it at the being in a vain attempt to threaten it. This scheme worked, but the creature let out an ear-piercing roar, which made the girls run away. Fortunately for them, the beast didn't try to follow them, but when they returned to the spot the next day, they found deep claw marks on the surrounding trees. Through the years, the family claimed to have seen the creature many times, and it even seemed to follow them to other locations. In November of 2011, the creature was seen standing near the family's vehicles, and it was said to tower over them. The odd thing is that in all these sightings, no true form could be seen, and its yellow eyes appeared to just be floating in a black mass. I found this story on the National Cryptid Society website, and the person reporting it is hoping someone has an answer as to what it is. While the description is odd, I do have to wonder if it couldn't be a form of Glimmerman.
West Virginia definitely has got some of the most unique cryptids of the entire country, two of which are almost of a spiritual form, don't even hold a more physical form. And again, I argue that perhaps these are multi-dimensional cryptids of some type.
This shouldn't come as a shock, but there are quite a few Bigfoot encounters in this location.
Now, I can tell you guys, I have been to and through West Virginia, and there's areas, especially in the mountainous regions, where I would be more surprised if there were not a Bigfoot creature, right? Maybe nowhere near as many as, say, Washington State like last night, but still, West Virginia has its fair share of the big guy.
What is remarkable is that they all have distinct names.
To be clear, the big guy meaning Bigfoot, not the big guy Brandon, you know.
Notably, there is the Yahoo, Leaping Devil, Granttown Goon, Apple Devil, Woodland Crooner, and the one of Native American lore known as the Stone Man.
It is intriguing that there have been given so many names to this creature, probably from the fact that it's been seen in so many different areas by different types of people.
There were reports of a large beaver that resided in the Monongahela River. This creature was said to weigh between 150 and 200 pounds, and it had a taste for human flesh. It was called the Fangmalia, and there isn't a lot of information out there about it. Then we have the Native American Nayagwahe, which was a massive naked bear that frequently hunted humans. Apparently its diet of human flesh is what caused it to lose its hair. This state also has a vampiric flying humanoid bat called the Pipisanguizge that makes its home in the caves of the Cabuelingo State Park. I also saw references to a creature known as a corpse walker, but really couldn't find any information about them.
Love the rapid fire there at the end, Ben, but you guys know that music means we have to say goodbye to Ben for this week and go ahead and take a network break right here. So my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the Dark Wolf's Den radio show State of Mystery for West by God, Virginia. We'll be right back with the second half of the Dark Wolf's Den radio show and the hauntings of West Virginia after these messages. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, Jerry Hicks on a Thursday night. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Ripon Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's State of Mystery for West Virginia? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to hop on over to our website, riponrabbithole.com. That's RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. There you can sign up for your exclusive Backstage VIP pass. It's going to give you unfiltered access down the rabbit hole to our community-generated press, where the conversation continues after the show. I'll return again tomorrow night. Come along with me and whet your appetite as we explore the rabbit hole of foodies. What exactly does it mean to be one? Are you one? And if not, why not? Come along with me tomorrow, Friday, May 6th, and find out. Starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. And then, Saturday night, let's get our hands dirty as we explore deep down the rabbit hole of gardening and getting dirty with the green thumb. That's right, we're going to hear some tips and tricks to just how you, too, can have a green thumb or two. That's Saturday, May 7th. Then we'll end out the weekend right together with you Sunday, May 8th, with a look at the 1%ers. That's right, we're going to see what kind of wisdom we can derive from motorcycle groups and clubs and find out what this whole 1%er thing is all about and explore ways that we can be just 1% better in our daily lives. That'll end out the weekend right together with you. Sunday, May 8th, 2022. While you're there, make sure that you have a look at our website in detail. Explore down the rabbit hole. Once you've signed up, you can set up your profile and post in our social media network, which is not a Big Tent network. We do not shadow ban. We do not deplatform you. And we allow you to speak and share with us down the rabbit hole. It's a lot of fun. I've met so many great listeners over there. And of course, signing up gives you unfiltered access to the Backstage VIP chat lounge, where you can pull up a digital chair, share your camera and your microphone with our community from across the world. It's a lot of fun, and I invite you over there. We do not share, sell, or give away your information, so you can feel comfortable about signing up for that. We'll return back to tonight's State of Mystery for West Virginia for Thursday, May 5th. Back to your host, Jerry Hicks, and the Dark Wolf's Den radio show. You're listening to the Ripon Common Sense Radio Network, home of the Freedom Flame, RiponRabbitHole.com.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Dark Wolf's Den show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And welcome back to the second half of the Dark Wolf's Den radio show for Thursday, May the 5th, 2022. Again, happy Cinco de Mayo. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, tonight so far we have went over a number of very unique and strange cryptids in the state of West by God, Virginia, and now we're going to switch on over to the hauntings of the state, and this state has a large number of hauntings indeed, like the first one on our list tonight, which again will prove our theory of high trauma, high emotion, high chance of haunting. Check this out.
West Virginia Penitentiary. West Virginia Penitentiary, located off Jefferson Avenue in Moundsville, West.
For those that are new to the show, I know we've got a lot of people in here I ain't seen in quite a while. Candied Cupcakes, Skooks. We have this working theory here on this show. And the theory is really simple. If you have a high amount of trauma and a high amount of emotion at the time of death, then likelihood is very, very high that it's going to cause a haunting situation for whatever reason. That's the theory we're working on. So far, it's been actually pretty well defined. Let's see if this case file continues to carry this trend on.
West Virginia is a historic prison turned tourist attraction and law enforcement training facility that, when it was still in operation, was recognized as one of the most violent lockups in the country. Historically, in 1866, 10 acres of land were set aside just out of city limits for the purpose of a prison, with a temporary wooden prison constructed in its stead. Construction of a permanent prison was completed in 1876 off prison labor, and in 1929, the state would grant funding necessary for the doubling of the campus's size. In 1986, West Virginia Penn came under heavy scrutiny for its inhumane and near-torturous conditions. By 1995, its prisoners had been transferred elsewhere, and eventually the Moundsville Economic Development Council would lease the property. The old facility remains open to this day and is utilized for enforcement training with mock riot drills, while offering tours, events, and even attractions of the paranormal variety.
So if you are a paranormal researcher in or around West Virginia, here is a place that is open to the public for research.
Chillingly, over the pen's many years, 94 inmates were executed, 36 were murdered by fellow inmates, and countless lives were lost to riots and unrest, totaling nearly 1,000 deaths on site. And not surprisingly, reports of haunted activity began while the prison was still in operation, with inmates and guards trading stories of disembodied whispers, footsteps from empty halls, the phantom sounds of keys jingling, and extreme temperature fluctuations.
Now, what already is very interesting is if it was just the inmates, one could say, well, they're just trying to get out of their sentence by whatever means. However, the guards and the inmates both have experienced these things that have went on in the prison.
Also reported on prison grounds is the unnerving sensation of icy, unseen hands that grope, grab, and even hit the unsuspecting. Encounters with the apparitions of both prisoners and guards, and sightings of a large, shadowy form that's been known to stalk visitors at great lengths, and that's even been captured in photography.
And as we know, a prison, not a fun place to be, a place that would have a large amount of remorse, a large amount of hatred, a large amount of negative energy that, as we know, gets wrapped up into the fabric of the universe, especially when displayed in large amounts. Couple that topped off with a traumatic event, pretty well of any type at this point, and you have yourself the recipe for a major series of haunting activity. Now, if you increase the number of spirits, as it appears is done here, as we've heard, over 1,000 souls have died on this property, it's not hard to think that even half of that would be still haunting that property, if not all of them. But let's see what we have next on the list.
The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, also known as Weston State Hospital and located off South River Avenue in Weston, is an abandoned insane asylum now open for tours as a museum. For a time, the partially built complex would serve Union forces, and in 1863, following West Virginia's statehood, its name would be altered to the West Virginia Hospital for the Insane.
So we basically have another Civil War hospital, and like I've said before, I'm be more surprised if anything touched by the Civil War wasn't haunted.
As a creepy tidbit, when completed, the grounds would total 666 acres.
Now that is one huge facility, interestingly enough covering 666 acres. That is kind of creepy, I'll give it to you guys.
The site remains open into the present and offers tours of both the historic and supernatural variety. Not surprisingly, the asylum is rumored to be haunted by the many who lived out torturous lives within before dying in its belly.
So Danny Mall says, West Virginia is so weird. Probably Eugene sneaks over there at night, right? I think a couple of you guys would love to see Eugene locked up in this prison, right?
And those exploring its expanse have reported encounters with a range of full-bodied apparitions, the likes of which include soldiers, doctors, patients, and nurses in old-fashioned garb. A ghostly little girl in a white dress, believed to be the spirit of a child named Lily who was born within the asylum and whom died at 9 from pneumonia.
Again, not incredibly surprising, as we know a child's energy is usually much more potent than an adult.
The apparition of a soldier named Jacob has been spied wandering the halls, and many have described hearing the phantom sounds of voices, gurney wheels, eerie cackles, and inexplicable crashing noises. Also reported at Trans-Allegheny are the sensations of being watched, touched, or grabbed by something unseen, and encounters with a presence dubbed Ruth that has a habit of throwing things at and pushing male visitors. Lastly, the asylum's cemetery holds over 2,000 bodies, many resulting from murder, suicide, and neglect. And near it, paranormal activity is said to get downright terrifying after dark.
Yet another place that is open to the public for research and even has its own paranormal tours. However, I would not suggest getting involved if you're a male.
Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. The old Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, located off Matawaka Road along the shores of Lake Shawnee out of Rock, is a defunct and abandoned amusement park recognized rather infamously for the 6 lives it claimed during its years in operation. Historically, land now holding the park was initially inhabited by tribes native to the region, namely by the Shawnee. In 1775, one Mitchell Clay would attempt to settle near the lake with his family, sparking a turf war. And in 1783, 2 of his children were killed, while a third was kidnapped and burned at the stake. Later, in 1926, entrepreneur Conley Snidow would purchase a large plot locally and would begin development of a new amusement park for the community, one which would feature a Ferris wheel, swing ride, concession stands, cabins, games, and more. Today, the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park sits as private property, though it does allow for reservations and tours, and each October plays host to a Halloween event called the Dark Carnival, complete with bonfires, scary stories, and a corn maze. Haunted activity at Lake Shawnee is suspected to be a result of the 6 accidents that transpired there, and during the aforementioned dig, a total of 13 skeletons were uncovered, and those lucky enough to explore the expanse at night have reported disembodied voices, singing, chanting, and tribal drums, shadowy figures that stalk the living, and encounters with the manifestations of young children, as well as with figures clad in traditional Shawnee attire.
You know, it's not very often at all that we get full-formed Native American apparitions. Normally we see activity in some place that is built over burial ground. We know that is definitely a no-no. However, we rarely ever, even in those cases, have a manifestation of a fully formed Native American dressed person, right?
The ghosts of Clay's murdered youths dressed in colonial-era clothing have been sighted seemingly going about their daily chores.
Sandy, interestingly enough, for that came up, said, we just talked about ghosts wearing clothes. Oh, that was on another channel. I think that was last night's episode in the chat, actually. I believe you guys were discussing the ghost wearing clothes, Sandy.
Ones they were likely tending when they were attacked and killed, and at other times, disembodied screams, believed to be their presences reliving their deaths, can be heard in the distance. Informal investigations of Lake Shawnee have yielded orbs and mists in photography.
You guys know I'm not exactly that big on orbs per se, right? However, I have taken a photograph that did have a mist in it. Real quick, I put that photograph onto my computer and made it my desktop background at the time. My computer had so many errors, it was insane. Literally a ghost in the machine, if you will. When I took the picture off of the computer, suddenly all the errors also disappeared. Very, very strange, but I do put a lot of weight into the misty photographs opposed to the orbs, was my point here.
Abnormal battery death rates, high EMF levels, chilling EVPs.
What's interesting about the EVPs, particularly in this case, is it verifies what everyone else claims they were seeing to begin with, right? Or hearing, I should say. A lot of people were hearing the drums, the disembodied voices, things like that. The EVPs only go to verify that those really are happening.
In one instance in which a lone investigator became inexplicably trapped within an old ticket booth, even though the door was not lockable and should have easily opened.
As awesome as that is as a piece of evidence, I would really, really hate to been the guy in that ticket booth, right?
Lastly, one more popular tale tells of a little girl who died on the swing ride when a truck accidentally backed into its path. Her small apparition, clad in a blood-spattered dress, has been sighted near, seemingly wandering about in a daze.
Of course, being at the amusement park, you would have a lot of high emotions, fun, excitement, happiness, just the same, but still strong emotions. Then you have this very traumatic event occur, and pazam, we have a ghost. Next up on our list, folks, we have a university, as we love to cover when we get the chance.
West Virginia University. West Virginia University in Morgantown, comprised of 3 smaller campuses being the original main downtown campus, the Evansdale campus about a mile and a half out, and the Health and Sciences campus, is a major public land-grant research university recognized for its ridiculously long list of offered degree paths, as well as for its Beckley Institute of Tech, which boasts one of the top 100 undergraduate engineering programs in the country. WVU Morgantown has seemingly been surrounded in stories of the supernatural from its earliest years, with students and faculty reporting doors opening and closing on their own, inexplicable electrical issues, the constant feeling of being watched, and encounters with apparitions in clothing spanning the ages. The downtown campus library is rumored to hold the spirit of a janitor that died after falling down an elevator shaft, while the Mountain Layer and Stewart Hall are said to be stalked by a ghostly little girl in a yellow dress with a music box that's often spied dancing and singing to its tune. According to campus legend, Stewart Hall was actually built atop the site of a cemetery that held this little lady's remains, and it's thought her grave was disturbed during its construction. Woodburn Hall, which was constructed in 1876, is the second oldest building on campus.
During this State of Mystery series, we have went over a number of ghost haunting case files, about 46 states we've done so far. So yeah, we went over quite a few, but I don't think we've gone over one so far that's as funny as the following one.
And as a prank, students once sneaked a cow to the top of its clock tower. Unfortunately, no one could figure out how to get the cow down, resulting in its eventual execution and butchering right there in the tower. And to this day, many claim to hear phantom mooing sounds near the site.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right. A phantom cow. I don't think we've had one of those so far. Leave it to West by God, Virginia, right?
Lastly, E. Moore Hall is rumored to be haunted by one Elizabeth Moore, after whom the building takes its name. According to legend, during renovations, some workers decided to replace a photograph of Elizabeth, but every day they returned, the frame was right back on the wall. Believing this phenomenon a prank, the workers locked the picture up in a closet, but to their utter shock, the next day, it was back on the wall once again, where it stayed ever since.
Probably a wise move to leave it on the wall in that case.
Berkeley Springs Castle. Berkeley Springs Castle, also called the Samuel Taylor Suit Cottage, and located off Cacapone Road on a hill overlooking the town.
Moo, moo, moo. Haunting you, says JoJo's. I gotta say, guys, that case file cracks me up. That is one of the funniest ones I think we've come across so far. Carol's Cookie says, WTF, West Virginia?
Town of Bath is a historic home constructed entirely of native sandstone that's thought to be the only Norman castle in the whole of the U.S. And tales of Berkeley Springs' many hauntings have persisted since its earliest days, with some speculating activity on the grounds as a result of an infestation by the spirits of its former owners, along with various other parties who loved the house in life, and those who have had the privilege of exploring its bounds have reported footsteps heard from empty rooms, disembodied voices through its halls, and the sounds of children giggling and playing always heard from just out of sight. Loud and inexplicable crashes have been heard from the house's upper portions. Furniture is regularly discovered rearranged, and doors have been known to open and close by themselves, even ones that are supposed to be latched or locked. A ghostly little girl, suspected to be the daughter of a former tenant, has been encountered across the premises. Objects have been sighted moving on their own or even floating in midair, and the castle is plagued by mysterious and frequent power failures that seem to happen in response to activity levels.
So we're very well aware of the caretaker ghost, but what happens when you get a series of caretaker ghosts all in the same place? Do they start to argue over what is right and how it should be taken care of. That's almost what it seems like here, is a number of spirits that are trying to have things their own way in different ways, but they all have the attributes of the caretaker ghost that we've come to find.
One more distinguished spirit at Berkeley Springs is rumored to be that of Samuel himself, who it's said has a bit of a mischievous streak and has been known to play small pranks on the living. One legend tells Samuel's death was not actually natural or from illness, but that Rosa poisoned him slowly. While no concrete evidence to support these claims has actually ever been uncovered, disturbingly, two of Rosa's other love interests suffered similarly odd fates, with one falling from the roof and another becoming impaled on a parasol during a struggle on the stairs. Also reported at Berkeley Springs are accounts of batteries dying within seconds, electronics frying out with no obvious cause, and instances of cars simply passing the property stalling or dying near the spot.
And that is probably the strongest amount of energy that we've found so far in a haunting, that it goes to affect even the cars driving down the road. But what do you guys think? From the incredibly unique cryptids in the first half to the many strange and even hilarious hauntings in the second half, is the state of West Virginia, or West by God Virginia, a true state of mystery? Or are we barking up the wrong tree? In the end, folks, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the Dark Wolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, tonight we have went over a number of interesting cryptid creatures, and we've only got 2 states left, folks, and we're going to be picking those up next week. But make sure you do come back on the RiponRabbitHole.com tomorrow, Friday, May the 6th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as AJ takes back to the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Ripon Rabbit Hole live show. This time round, he's going to be talking about foodies. Are you a foodie? Do you enjoy eating a lot of variety? Or is that even what that means? Well, AJ will tell us all about it and how you may also become a foodie tomorrow, Friday, May the 6th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central on the Ripon Rabbit Hole live show. Then AJ comes back again on Saturday, May the 7th, 2022, as he brings the episode about green thumbs. Are you a green thumb? Are you good at growing your own food and plants? In today's society, in today's age, and the way the things in the world seem to be going, this might be a skill that you should probably take a little interest in. Myself included, as I have a brown thumb. Everything I try to grow dies. So yeah, maybe I need this episode a little bit more than you guys do. And that episode will be on Saturday, May the 7th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Sunday, May 8th, 2022, 8th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. I can't even keep up with myself right now, folks. AJ the Ripon Rabbit's going to be coming back one more time to close the weekend out right with you guys, as he talks about the 1%ers. Now, I was a little off on my idea yesterday, apparently, or perhaps it's one of many things he will be discussing, but we know of the 1% that rule the world. We know of the 1%er motorcycle club, and we also know, well, we will know after Sunday about the 1% better. As AJ mentioned yesterday, I do like to say 1% difference in 100 days is going to be 100%. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, then do make sure you tune in on Sunday, May July 8th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, for AJ the Ripon Rabbit and the Ripon Rabbit Hole Live Show. And that closes the long, extended weekend out right here at Ripon Common Sense Radio Network. Congratulations, by the way, to Songbird, the winner, or Songbird 007, I think, was the winner of the Tuesday night videos, dethroning the previous champion, the Chosen One, 1975. So, congratulations to them, as well as everybody who played Beat Eugene. I unfortunately did not get anywhere near beating Eugene. I was at the bottom of the list. Apparently, I didn't know a whole lot about a cheesy topic this month. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch Beat Eugene last Sunday. Congratulations to everybody that did get on the podium. Unfortunately, Eugene won this time, but he won't get it next time, folks. And if you want to find out when the next Beat Eugene is so you can dethrone Eugene, make sure you hop on over to the riponrabbithole.com. That is RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. Over there, you're going to find our schedule. Every week it is posted. Usually on Wednesday it's posted up, and you can find out all the topics we'll be covering, myself and AJ, all weekend long, as well as the T&Bs when they come up the first of every month. Also, while you're over on the riponrabbithole.com, do make sure that you check out the many, many fun things to do, like hopping over and seeing the picture of the White Thing, our cryptid from the first half, on the Down the Rabbit Hole section, our exclusive privatized social media over there, where we do not shadow ban. We do believe in the freedom of speech, and you are welcome to drop your information, as us rabbits love to learn everything we can. That's right. Also, while you're over there, make sure you hop on over to the 24/7 Backstage Lounge. That's where I'm going to be here in just a couple minutes, and I would love to see you guys there. And with that said, folks, we have to vacate the microphone for this week. So it's been an absolute blast, folks. We got one more week. Next week is also very special, as it is the end of Season 2. That's right, as we end out the State of Mystery series. So on behalf of AJ the Ripon Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, everyone at Ripon Common Sense Radio Network, as well as Tom Bayless at Red Shed Studios for this incredible music, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And remember, until next time, folks, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody. How? Yeah. That's right. Unlocked and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever wrong. How we doing tonight, guys? It's been a great show. West Virginia is absolutely amazing. If you'd like to go ahead and sing along, Chick Mandela Effect, folks. A peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her? Oh, yeah, that's right. Good to see so many folks here tonight. Skooks, JoJo, Sandy B, Maggie's, Deranged, Carol's Cookies, Raider Champion, Mandaddy Mall. Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. Guys, if you want to see what the wolf looks like, if you're curious, hop on over to the Dark Wolf Den Show right now. We got the camera on as we do the karaoke. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What but a sinner. Is it in her? I walk around work singing this half the time. This song gets stuck in my head a lot. What about you guys? Is this one of those earworm songs for you? It is for me. Is this real or just illusion? Brandon lives in a wonderland of delusion. Oh wait, wrong word. Sorry. I was Raiders version. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. I hope your ears aren't bleeding at this point. I do apologize. Wonderland of confusion. JoJo's don't want to break anyone's eardrums. I think I already have, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't already know, do make sure you check out our book called Moon Madness, available on Amazon. It also helps support us in what we do here. It is $7 for the Kindle, $12 for paperback, and definitely a good read from what I've told. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the rest of your amazing weekend on Ripon Common Sense Radio Network. Until next time, folks, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody.